Do you mind? I'm trying to do a video. Jeez. Anytime today. It is the most fun thing that you can possibly do with your clothes on. I mean, if you want to, you can take clothes off and do it, but I didn't tell you that. But if you want to, and there's no one around, get naked. Who cares? I don't. Just don't send me pictures. What's up guys, welcome back to another episode and welcome to sunny Southern California. I'm here at the launch ramp, but today I'm not going to be taking this out in the water. Instead, I'm going to be answering your questions about what I've done to my 2023 SeaDoo Explorer Pro to turn it into, in my humble opinion, the ultimate adventure PWC. Now, out of the box, these things are great. This one over here is bone stock. This one, however, has got now about 140 hours on it. I've had this since September and I have done all kinds of adventures. I've ridden in freezing cold conditions on Lake Powell. Yeah, this is probably getting too thick to break through, Bob. That's an inch thick. I've taken this thing across the open ocean to Catalina. I've ridden 150 miles across 3 states upriver to go and try and find somewhere to camp overnight. Spoiler alert, I didn't find anywhere, so I had to ride all the way back again. So as you can see, I have done so many epic things already with this, and it's only just beginning. So without further ado, let's get into exactly what I've done to make this thing such a beast. And also we'll go over some of my riding gear as well, because I know a lot of you guys wonder what you should wear when you go out and do these kinds of adventures. Let's start off with what I consider to be the most important modification I've made to my Explorer Pro. I also did this to my old Fish Pro, and if you do any type of riding where you are ever far enough offshore where you wouldn't be able to swim back safely, I highly suggest you do this as well. That is installing a bilge pump. So right here you can see I have a little outlet port. This is where the bilge pump will expel water should the hull ever start to fill up. The bilge pump I have installed in this is a Sahara. It is 1,100 gallons per hour. I actually bought it for my old SeaDoo jet boat, which was a 20-foot jet boat. So if it can pump out something that big, you know it is going to be absolutely fine with something 13, 14 feet long like this SeaDoo. I consider a bilge pump to be insurance. You don't ever want to have to use it, but if you ever do, you are going to be so thankful that you have it installed. Luckily, they are also super easy to install. I took mine to my mechanic, Robert at Jetworks, and he installed it for me, no problem. It took him a couple of hours. There's plenty of space back here to mount them, and then we just put the port right here behind the seat, and it pumps straight out. So when this is full, it will actually shoot straight over the gunnel, so it won't fill up your gunnel here, your footwell. But just in case I'm static and let's say it isn't able to pump all the way over, what I also have is this rubber tube here that installs very neatly into the port and pumps the water over the side. So now I can expel water from my hull straight out into the water and I'm good. The way that I have this wired up is I have a 3-position switch, so I can turn the bilge pump off completely. I can turn it on, which you might be able to hear, it's now running. And then I have the automatic setting, which is what I leave it on all of the time. And what that means is that if the hull does start to fill up with water, then it will float, the little float inside of the bilge pump, it will engage the pump and it will start to dump that out, meaning that it never gets dangerously high to where it makes the ski unstable or starts to sink it. Modification number 2, and honestly the one that I love the most, are all of my lights. So we started off with the nav lights here. So we have red here on the port side, green on the starboard side. These are LED strips that we have routed through the nose. And then up top, I also have the running lights as well, which are these white LEDs. Even in broad daylight like it is now, I mean, the sun is 12 o'clock high in the sky, you can see these so bright. Now, I know it's illegal to ride a PWC at night in most states. I have heard rumblings that some states are starting to allow it if you do have the correct nav lights fitted. I haven't verified that, but I know certainly here in California, technically you're not allowed to ride after dark. The reason why I installed these is because sometimes I leave super early in the morning, right as the sun is coming up, or sometimes if I'm coming back from a trip trip and I've been offshore, it might be right as the sun is starting to set. And so I just want to be as visible and as safe and sensible as possible. They also just look really cool. And on a recent trip out to Catalina, the fog bank rolled in and these were invaluable. And not only that, but I now have these fog lights as well, which are currently set to amber, but I have them switched so that I can change them to white. So these things, plus the nav lights, plus the daytime running lights, mean that I am so visible at all times, and I also think it makes the ski look absolutely epic. Now, since I last mentioned it, I've had a lot of people ask me how they can do this to theirs. Well, I will actually be selling a kit which will contain everything you need to do this to your PWC, the wires, the switches, and a video on how to install them, because it really isn't that difficult. So right here, this is my switch panel, and I'll get into this in a minute under the luxury section. But what I have here are on-off switches for the nav lights and the running lights. And then this one in the center is a 3-position switch. So in the middle, it turns the pod lights off. If I go up to the top, it turns the pod lights to white. And then if I go down to the bottom, it will switch them over to amber. Honestly, for me, amber is the best. I had some amber lights installed on my adventure motorcycle as well, and it just makes you so much more visible. So when you're out on the ocean or on a big lake, you're on something smaller like this, every little helps just to make yourself a little bit more visible to the big boats. The final safety piece that I have installed is actually a second larger capacity battery. Now I can't show you because it's buried all the way back here, but because I'm now running things like the bilge pump and I have those lights on the front, even though they're LEDs, I just wanted to make sure that I had plenty of juice. So I had Robert at Jetworks install me a second battery, which is actually a larger capacity than the original one. So I know that if I ever get stuck where, let's say, the motor isn't running and I'm sat floating out in the middle, then I can still have electricity, I can still run the bilge pump, and I can still run the lights if I need to. Again, it's insurance. It's not a need to have, but it's a nice to have. And as far as I'm concerned, I would rather have something and not need it than need something and not have it. So moving on to the luxury section. If you've watched this channel for a little while, you'll know that I'm a little bit bougie now and again. I do like my gadgets, I do like my creature comforts, and one of the things that I wanted on my ski at all times was the ability to charge my GoPros. Obviously, I'm talking to you guys on a GoPro right now, and it's very important that when I'm out filming episodes that I don't run out of power. So when I was looking for a switch panel for the lights in the front, I got one that also has 2 USB outlets, and what that has allowed me to do is use one of the outlets right here and run it up to this very slimline GoPro charger. And so now when I'm riding, all I have to do is flip this up, drop my batteries in there, close it, it stays nice and protected, it's always getting power, and I constantly have fresh batteries. Now, one of the things that I wanted to get installed before I did this video, but unfortunately it didn't arrive in time, is install a USB battery power bank, and that is going to sit right below it or right to the side of it, probably up here honestly, on some very heavy duty Velcro. The irony that my battery ran out literally at that point is not lost on me, so I will actually put it back on charge. While we're in here, shout out to EcoFlow. This is the Delta 2 Max. This is my power bank that I have in here that basically runs my fridge. I also have an AC unit as well that plugs into it, and Diesel Dog is right here too. He's chilling. We don't have the AC right now because it's not that hot, so he's just got his little portable fan, again being powered by this guy. And one of the other things I did was I just made some ice to put in his water bowl, so we'll give him those in a sec. But shout out to EcoFlow. This is the Delta 2 Max. I absolutely love this thing. If you need a portable power station, then I highly recommend these. I did a full walkthrough on them that I'll link in the description below. I love this in the truck. I have it being powered by my solar panels up on the roof here. I also have it being powered by an AC adapter that's somewhere down here underneath Diesel's butt, plugs into the truck. Not only does this thing have tons of power, but it also has a really cool app that allows me to basically watch all of my levels on it. I can change how it charges, I can tell it to go into eco mode, I can tell it to turn on or turn off any of the ports like the USB ports or all of the AC ports that are on it. There's just so much functionality built into this little thing, and with disaster season coming up in a lot of countries where there's going to be problems with power outages and that kind of thing, if you are looking for a solution for your home, then you should look no further than EcoFlow. I'll link them below in the description. And again, thank you so much to EcoFlow for powering my truck and allowing me to do cool adventures like I do. Won't be long and then we can go to the dog park. Sound good? Yeah, sound good? All right, you keep chilling. So as I was saying, one of the things that I will be installing is that USB battery bank. That will be plugged into the second USB port here. And what that will allow me to do is two things. One, obviously, if I ever need to charge anything and I don't have the ski running, I'll have that extra backup battery power. So for example, my drone batteries, they plug in just via USB so I can top them up. My phone, if I need to. Obviously the ski does have its own USB charging port in the front here, in the little waterproof cubby, but that only works if the ski is turned on. So let's say I decide to go camping and I want to charge my phone, then I know that I've always got a 20,000 milliamp hour reserve battery supply that can keep me on grid if I need it. All I would have to do is switch the cable from this one into the USB power bank and I'd be able to charge them without having to drain anything from the ski itself. Category 3, accessories. Now, the whole point of the Explorer is that you can put so much stuff on it to take with you on your adventures. How I have this set up right here is basically my day-to-day setup. So if I'm just going out for a cruise, this is what I will have on it. I upgraded from the standard Link cubbies to these extra large ones. I'm not sure what the volume of these is. And the way that I have it set up is on the right here, this is my docking, mooring, towing, anything where I need to secure the ski. So in here we have extra ropes. We have a tow rope here. Should I ever need to be towed or need to tow somebody else, I have that. And then most importantly, down in the bottom is my anchor, which is all part of my quick release anchor setup that I have featured in one of my other videos. So I devised a solution that allows me to anchor the ski without getting wet. And I will link back to that video so you can see exactly how it works. But essentially, I just use this piece of Dyneema that is always mounted to the front of the ski. It clips right here onto the grab rail, and then I can attach this to that anchor and then throw the anchor in. I have a recovery line to make sure that I never lose this end, obviously, and then I can drop the anchor, and when I'm ready to pull the anchor up, I just pull on that safety line, bring the whole thing up, unclip this from the anchor, clip this back on the front, and I'm good to go, and I never had to get wet, the most important thing. This second box over here is usually left empty, and that way if I find any trash while I'm out riding, I can pick it up and put it in here, or if I need to bring any extra camera equipment, drone, anything like that, it can go in here, it's watertight, and it isn't gonna get wet. And then typically I will also carry an extra 5 gallons of fuel. These are new from SeaDoo. The old ones were, I believe, 4 gallons, so you get an extra gallon in these, which means that if I line 3 of them up across the back, then it allows me to get almost another full tank of gas. These things will take 19 gallons, so I'm 4 gallons short of a full tank. So that means an extra, conservatively, 60 to 70 miles of range just with the fuel that I can carry on the back. Now, if I'm going camping, then I'll take even more gear, and that is where the dry bag comes in. So these Explorers come with a dry bag as standard. It's 120 liters, fully waterproof. They have backpack straps on them, and they actually clip right here to the ski itself. So they're very easy to take on and off. You just twist them in and twist them out. Now, I like to keep this dry bag locked and loaded with all of my SeaDoo camping gear. And I'm gonna do another episode where we go through all of the stuff that I take on a camping trip, but just to kind of give you a brief idea, I have a bunch of super lightweight stuff from Helinox. So this right here is a cot bed, so that is nice and comfy to sleep on. Then I have my tent as well, which honestly, I could get a smaller tent than this, but this is just what I've always had, so I haven't yet replaced it with something small and lightweight. But if you do have suggestions, please put it down in the comments below. A 2-3 man tent. I don't want anything too small because obviously I've got my cot bed, but something that will fit in here that perhaps packs up a little bit smaller than this. I then have, again, a very lightweight table from Helinox. So all of their stuff packs away very nicely. I can get out with one hand. So this, actually no, this is the cot, this is the table, and then I have one of their very, very lightweight chairs as well. So this is the Chair Zero high back. So those things are amazing because right there is basically all of the stuff that I would need to be comfortable while I'm camping, and then just a few extras like a decent first aid kit and also a microfiber towel for drying off. And then I believe I've also got some wipes in here. Yeah, so I got some wipes here as well to keep me from not being a stinky boy while I'm out on the side of the river. Then another thing that I've added on here to make my life easier when I'm out and about is I have this soft shackle that I've got linked to this rear towing point. So this is actually structural. This is into the hull, so you can tow from this. And so these soft shackles are amazing because they're super strong, but they obviously don't rattle around, they don't damage things, they don't make too much noise when you're riding. And so what I use this for is when I go to places like Avalon and I have to get a mooring, you have to connect the mooring to the front and to the back of the boat or the ski or whatever it is that you're on. And so obviously because I have this clip here for my anchor, I use that to connect it to the front. Then on the back, I take one of these stainless steel clips and I'll pull up the rope that you need to clip onto or tie onto for the mooring. I will attach it right here to the soft shackle, and then this goes onto the rope. So now I'm fully secured at the bow and the stern of the ski. And when I'm ready to leave, all I have to do is unclip this and take it and put it back in the front of the ski. Then finally, another thing that makes my life a lot easier when I'm out riding are these can-do little saddlebags here. So they just attach onto the handles with these clips. You can very easily disconnect them if you want. So if you wanted to take them with you, if you put stuff in there, you could. They've got these little magnetic clips that keep themselves nicely secured when you're riding, and they are not waterproof as such, because obviously water can get into the side, but the material itself is waterproof. So as long as this flap is all the way down and water is just splashing on them, the stuff inside will stay pretty dry. But don't put your valuables in there that you don't want to get wet at all, because as you can see, there are some little gaps where water can sneak in. Now, this one that I have over on the other side always has a mask and a snorkel in it. That way then, when I'm out riding, if I was ever to suck something up into the intake grate and I need to get into the water and clear it out, I have a mask and snorkel always ready to go. Touch wood, I've never had that happen before, but if it ever did, it's nice to know that I could get underneath, see very clearly, and hopefully get the jam unjammed and keep on jamming. There's a lot of jam. Do you see what I see? Ice making complete. Diesel dog, guess what we got for you, bud? Oh yeah! What's this, look? You want some ice? Diesel, sit. Good boy. Wait a minute. Beautiful. What's this though? Oh, ice cube? Oh, that's nice, huh? Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Okay, now you just look at my fingers. There you go. That's some ice for you. I still can't get over the novelty of being able to make ice using battery and solar power. It's so badass. There you go, sir. It's the breeze to your liking. Yeah, very nice. I swear, this dog lives better than I do. Okay, because I am such a fashion icon, I know you guys have been thinking that the whole way through this video. Let's talk about the things that I like to wear when I'm out riding my SeaDoo. First of all, I guess we'll start with what I'm wearing now. So let me just put this here and I'll give you a little, oh, it's too, hold on, stand by, you've got to be able to see everything when you get the full show, you know what I mean? Okay, you can sort of see everything I'm wearing. So this has been my go-to riding gear for probably the last 2 or 3 months now. I used to wear a wetsuit all the time, but what I noticed is if I was doing more adventure stuff and I was getting off the ski, walking around in a wetsuit is actually quite uncomfortable. And not to mention, if you're in public, like let's say you go to a little dock and dine place, or you go to Avalon and you're walking around Catalina, you look like a bit of a numpty. So what I've started to do when the weather is good and I know that I'm not going to be getting into the water is wearing essentially, I guess you'd call it like adventure motorcycle gear. So this is just a UV fishing shirt. So this thing, very inexpensive. I'll link everything below, but this thing, do you mind? I'm trying to do a video. Jeez, anytime today. So yeah, like I say, this is just a UV shirt. Now, a lot of people on my Havasu video said, why on earth are you wearing all black? It's the hottest color you can wear. I hear you, but number one, I just like black. And number two, it's actually not as hot as you think. I am cooler right now wearing this than I would be if I was wearing a white cotton t-shirt. It wicks the sweat away from you. It's very, very light and it dries really quickly. So I'm actually very comfortable wearing it. These trousers are from a company called Tacvasen, and they're kind of listed as like hiking / tactical trousers. They're super lightweight, they're very, very stretchy, and they have multiple pockets. The other nice thing about them is that they dry very quick. So even if I do get splashed, it doesn't take long before they just air dry, and it also helps with cooling me down if it is a hot day. That being said, if I am riding and I know I'm gonna get wet, or I'm gonna jump in the water, or I'm racing, then I'll wear my Jet Tribe wetsuit. I like these with the cut-off arms because it means that I can wear a rash vest underneath them. These things are the most comfortable PWC wetsuits that I've ever worn. Nice and flexible in the knee, For my gloves, I like to wear these Jet Tribe riding gloves. Things that I like about them, they have sticky fingers. Yes. And a little pro tip, what I like to do is slice a very tiny hole in the thumb here, and that means that when I'm wearing them, I'm able to poke my thumb through so that if I want to use my phone, I can just go boop like that, and then I can still text and swipe and, you know, do all the things that I need to do with my phone, and then when I'm ready to ride again, I can just pop it back through and it doesn't really make any noticeable difference. They also do riding boots and other things as well. I personally like to ride in my SeaDoo riding boots. Reason being, I have a very wide foot, and what I found is that my Jet Tribe riding boots were a little bit too narrow for my big old flat feet. So I actually wear SeaDoo riding boots, but if you have a more normal size foot, then definitely check out the Jet Tribe riding boots because all of their gear is legit, and yeah, I highly recommend them. So one of the things that I get asked the most is what life jacket do I wear, because it kind of looks a bit crazy. Well, this is the Mustang Survival MRV 150, and it is a rescue swimmer's vest. Now, the reason why I got a rescue swimmer's vest is threefold, I guess. Number one, just look at it. I love the color, it matches the ski, the neon yellow is very visible, it fits with my whole brand thing. My brand colors are black and neon yellow, and I just think it looks absolutely awesome. Number two is the fact that being a rescue swimmer's vest, it has plenty of flotation. And the thing is for me, is if I'm out in the middle of nowhere and there's nobody with me and I fall off the ski and maybe I hurt myself and I'm floating around, I want something that has as much flotation as I can get without it getting in the way of how I ride. And this is the perfect combination of all of that. I have full flexibility, maneuverability, so I can ride the ski and move around, but it offers a lot of buoyancy. Thirdly, it has all of the molly attachments on the front, so the things that I like to carry with me when I'm riding, I'm able to easily mount to the front so that I can grab them without having to think about it. So we'll kind of go through what I ride with. So this right here is my new knife. This is the SpyderCo Enough 2. Now, this isn't part of their Salt series, which a ton of you recommended to me. I reached out to SpyderCo to ask if I could try it. They didn't have their Salt series around, but this is VG10 steel. So it does have a couple of little tiny bits of surface rust on it from where I've taken it out on the ocean, but that's my fault because when I get back, I forget to rinse off my stuff, and then it sits in here like this with salt water in there and it gets surface corrosion. It's not the knife's fault, it's my fault. But their Salt series apparently is made from H1 steel, which is basically bulletproof and won't get corroded even in salt water. So I am very much looking forward to trying that out. But this has been amazing so far. It's got a really cool serrated edge to it, which means that if I've got to cut rope or line or kelp or anything like that, this is going to get through it no problem. The VG10 steel has really good edge retention, and this thing is razor sharp. So I absolutely love it, and it's been invaluable to me and fits right here. The next thing I have on here is my radio. This is the Icomm i94D, and I think it is the perfect marine radio for people riding PWCs, or if you're even out kayaking or doing anything where you're going to be out on the ocean and might need at some point to hail the Coast Guard. What I love about it is that not only does it have great battery life, but it also has things like this additional speaker microphone that you can add to it, and that means that when I'm riding, I don't have to take this off my vest to talk into it and then put it back. I can just reach up here, push this button, talk into it, listen to it, and I can kind of keep it out of the wind as well this way. So it just makes it much more functional for when I'm actually out riding. The other nice thing about it is that it has GPS, which means that if you were ever to get in trouble, you actually register your MMSI number with this, where you put your information, your vessel's information, your emergency contacts, and should you ever get in trouble, all you need to do is pull down this flap on the back, push the distress button, and it will send out an emergency distress signal. So anybody in the area will get a notification of where you are, who you are, all of the information like that, and the Coast Guard will be able to come out and start trying to locate you. As an additional layer of security, I also carry a PLB, and a PLB is a personal location beacon, and the way that this works is it has an antenna. So all you would do is you would flip up the antenna like this. It then exposes the emergency button in the middle. You press and hold that, and it will start to send out your location information. And again, you register this with all of your information, so they will notify your next of kin. They will send out a search party, and hopefully you should get rescued very, very quickly. Now, I did do a video on my channel that I will link below about one of the guys in my SeaDoo senders group who had an accidental trigger of his PLB. He didn't push it and he didn't put up the thing, it just malfunctioned and sent out an emergency rescue signal. They sent the helicopter from the Coast Guard and it was there within like 25-30 minutes. So it sucks that it happened and that it wasn't a real emergency, but it's awesome to know that it works. And not only does it work, but you get an amazing response where they would be able to fly over, send a diver down, pick you up and take you to safety. So this thing is absolutely invaluable to me. I also have another GPS-based system up front that I'll show you in a second, but in terms of what I carry on my person, I have one way of getting help and then a backup of getting help, because like the military say, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So it's always good to have extra stuff with you if you know you're going to be in a situation where there's the possibility that you might need help. In terms of what I have going on up here, these are the Bomber Eyewear clutch glasses. These are actually ANSI Z87 Plus safety rated, which means that they're very tough, but one of the tests that they do, which I thought was pretty rad, is they actually fire a 1/4 inch ball bearing at the lenses at 102 miles an hour while it's on like a dummy's face, and they have to make sure that the lenses don't crack, chip, break, and not only that, but the lens doesn't actually touch the dummy's face. So not only do they look cool, not only are they an amazing polarized lens, but they also offer that safety as well. So if something was to pop up and, you know, hit me in the face, it gives you that bit of protection. These little side guards here are great for cutting glare. So when I'm out trying to spot dolphins, spot whales out in the ocean, this will actually help to stop not only the spray and the wind from coming in, but also to give me that real good vision out on the water. So these are pretty new. I've only just started wearing them. I will update you with how I feel about them in a few weeks' time, but so far so good. I actually have a few different pairs. I've got a daily pair, I've got a big like oversized pair, kind of like my old glasses. So yeah, I'll update you on what I think of these, but for now, I absolutely love them and the quality of the lens is brilliant. So that brings us on to the last category, which is survival gear. Now, I've already showed you the PLB and the radio that I carry at all times on my life jacket itself, but in the front of the ski, I always have my EPIRB. Let's say that the engine had conked out on the ski, wouldn't start, something had happened and I'm floating out in the middle. Let's say my radio isn't working. Let's say my PLB isn't working. Well, I have this. So I would slide this little guy across, I would hit the emergency button for 3 seconds, I would then undo this Velcro strap and it has some cord that is wrapped around the inside of it. I would toss this out into the water, bloop, it's now floating like this. There is a strobe light on the top and this antenna right here will start to transmit my location and send an emergency distress signal to all of the good guys that would then come and get me. It works very much like that PLB. It's just slightly heavier duty and it's more made for marine applications. That PLB you can actually use if you are hiking or whatever. This one specifically is for boats. This is the kind of thing that you would find on like a big yacht. So again, way overkill, you might say, for something this size, but I keep coming back to it. I just want to make sure I have everything I need so that I can just enjoy myself and not have to worry about my safety or have that nag at the back of my mind that what if, what if, what if. Then up front here, we also have a fire extinguisher, I have an emergency whistle, and in here I have a basic first aid kit. So if I was to get any kind of like cut, scrape, anything like that, there's a tourniquet in there as well. So if I was to have to stop a bleed, why are you so loud? Then I would be able to administer a tourniquet to myself and hopefully buy myself a bit of time until help comes. I also make sure that wherever I go, I have a bottle of water with me. Typically, I'll do one of those insulated bottles so I can throw ice in there and have it be nice and cold. I've got things like suntan lotion in here, both spray and the cream. And then I also usually have different types of snack bars in there. So Cliff bars are really good. They take up very little room and they're very easy to just keep in the front. So if I did need a snack or if I did find myself in a position where I needed to stay alive for a few days without having actual food with me, it would tide me over. I know this might sound a bit doomsday prepperish, but when I come and I launch the ski and I go on these trips, I don't think about any of this stuff. And the reason I don't think about it is because I know that it's all on the ski already. So it just takes that worry away from me. So it's not like every time I go out, I go, oh, I might sink, oh, I might fall off, oh, I might get abducted by aliens. I just know that if I ever find myself in a predicament, the chances are I have what I need to save myself or to help somebody else in that situation. That's what it is. So don't think that I'm like constantly worried about what might happen. I just know that if something does, I'm probably the guy that you're going to want to go to because I'll be ready for it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes the tour of my 2023 SeaDoo Explorer Pro with a couple of little modifications. I hope you've enjoyed this, and more importantly, I hope you guys, if you don't have one, are very, very strongly considering buying yourself a SeaDoo because, oh my goodness, it is the most fun thing that you can possibly do with your clothes on. I mean, if you want to, you can take clothes off and do it, but I didn't tell you that. But if you want to, and there's no one around, get naked, who cares? I don't. Just don't send me pictures. This one is my buddy ski. This is what other people ride. This is what, if I take anybody else out, they get to go on. And also it's my backup should this one ever be in the shop for maintenance and I need to get out and film something. So I don't think I have to go as crazy as I've gone with this one, but bilge pump for sure. I'll probably do the nav lights because I'm going to do the nav lights because they're just so sick. And I'll probably do the puddle. What is wrong with me? I can't not mess with stuff. For the better, like I think that I have really taken what SeaDoo have made here, which was an awesome starting point, and I have made it even more awesomer. One of my favorite sayings, if some is good, more is better. And I'm not finished yet. I have something planned for this well, I won't tell you because it's very, very close to being done, but it is some additional stuff that I'll be adding that again is going to elevate the functionality of this ski to the next level. So stay tuned for that. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, if you came from the last few SeaDoo videos, me learning to ride stand-up, or that trip where I went through 3 states, 150 miles up the Colorado River, welcome. I'm glad you're here. I hope you stick around. Tell your friends about it. If you aren't subscribed, please subscribe as well. We are getting up there with the subscribers now, like 107,000 or something, which is amazing. I can't believe it. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. Give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe if you aren't subscribed already. And the most important thing ever, I am going to be coming out with some new merch soon as well. Stay tuned for that. But most importantly, and I hope you guys already know what I'm about to say, remember, until next time, don't do anything I wouldn't do. See ya.